How many tools do you need to change a light bulb?
Well, quite a few it seems.
So we have some parcels turned up with part for the van. Gonna just be figuring out what's what and then cracking on some of the jobs. Okay, yeah. So on the van, on the rear passenger side, the bottom of it is like a fiberglass section, and there's a split in the wheel arch. One of these other ones, maybe this one. Oh yeah. So we've got this structural hole filler, super tough with fiberglass, and then also a fiberglass kit. So we're going to see how this goes, and hopefully we've got some tape in there, and then some of the resin to do that repair. These here are the lights which I got on eBay, and these are the stock tail light indicators. I'm going to do this now. These weren't cheap, and there's going to be a bit of wiring, but they're about 50 quid, I think. By the way, I'm going to do like a gear review, so if any of you are into your gear, this I can recommend. This is the only Milwaukee tool I can ever afford to buy, and it's a pocket knife. It's also got a seatbelt cutter there, but it's got this clip, flip, and then you can adjust, put in Stanley or other blades in there, like a box cutter. Yeah, really good. What we got here? Okay, so this is for the headlights, Auto Glim headlight restoration kit, and then we've also got in here a wool sanding, polishing thing, and then in here we have basically some brake cleaner to clean off the oil off the diff and also other oil leaks. Some contact cleaner for any of the electrical connections, also some air if there's any dusting that needs clearing out. Over here I've got this turn up. I'm going to do a little clip on that later on, but basically the van itself is a 3.5 ton axle weight, but I needed to get some way of jacking it up because it's got a double wheel axle. So I've got a jack and I've got some axle stands, and I'm going to have a look at those later on.
I was feeling fairly confident about fitting these lights. They seemed pretty easy, and despite having to get some of the rusty screws out, things were going well. I was just sorting out some of the crimps on the old cables to be able to replace the new light fitting, but soon disaster struck.
How many tools do you need to change a light bulb?
Well, quite a few it seems, but I just want to show you this because basically I've got this new unit and I fitted it and everything else, and I've drilled out the holes for it, and they've got these little plugs which go in, but the trouble is what's happened is I've drilled the holes probably a little bit too big for the plugs, so they're just spinning, as you can see here. Like when I turn the screw to tighten up, the plug spins. So I'm going to have to glue those into place, let that go off, and then I can come back to it and tighten it up, which is a bit of a shame. I have put in a load of like not Tiger Seal but no one nails, just to kind of like hold it all in place and waterproof the connections before I seal it up. But yeah, I just figured, you know, actually I'll share the mistakes as well, because we all make mistakes and part of the learning process. Here I'm fitting the housing of the new light fitting to the body and pulling the cables through before moving to the left hand side, where I attempt to do the same. I've actually done part of the right hand side before I went back and did it again with some fresh crimps, because I wasn't entirely happy with the crimps that I used. But that was before disaster struck on the left hand side and the cable dropped into the body of the housing. I've got a feeling Arnie is testing my commitment because, yeah, made the hole too big on that one. And then this side you'll notice there's 4 wires there. The cables on the crimps are quite a lot shorter, but you'll notice there's 1, 2, 3, not 4. So where's the 4th, you ask? part is in there somewhere. And now I've got to figure out how to get it out. Great. Well, this is certainly Judgment Day for Arnie. Well, not really for me, but I've basically got 3 cables where they need to be 4 and the other one's stuck inside. So I'm going to try this technique. I have this, I'm going to wrap this around the cable, slide it down, and then rotate it to see if I can get it to pick up the one that's loose and slide it back out. We'll see. This was a bit of a trial and error, quite frankly, and what you don't really see here is how long this actually took in real time. It was a couple of days and most of my sanity has indeed gone, but I'm pleased to say that we got there in the end. We had to. We couldn't leave it as it is. I need to get this van MOT'd so I can get it up to Scotland. But this is just an indication of how we can drive ourselves to complete insanity with some of these projects. And quite frankly, if I ever see the inside of a transit minibus again through a camera, I will probably begin to shake and tremor in fear, because this really did test my patience. And we got there in the end, but it was a very, very tough journey. Desperate times call for desperate measures. So the cable for this rear light has gone into the body shell, and I'm just going to see if I can get to it from the inside to locate it, which is probably going to be tricky. I've got a feeling that's just going to be fiberglass on the inside as well of that. It feels pretty sturdy, looks like it's all bonded, so I don't necessarily think I'm going to be able to get anything from the inside of this, even if I do take all of this off. I just think that's all going to be solid. It looks like it's a double skin fiberglass, so I don't think it's going to help me at all. We might have to go back to plan A. Plan B might be cutting into the thing. So let's have a look-see. This has been doing my head in. It's taken far longer than it should ever have done. It was like a half-hour electrical wiring job, but because the ground wire dropped through inside this fiberglass body, I can't actually get to it. And I've tried a boroscope and all sorts of things, and now I just need to make a bit more space. So I'm going to cut a little square out here probably, which is still within like the size of the covering, and then I'll make sure that just gets sealed up. But obviously have to be careful not to cut the electrical cables, which I will try to do now and avoid now. After all of the hours spent trying to get this cable out, we were nearing the end. Or should I say, we're nearing the beginning of the end, because this is a gift that keeps on giving. I don't want to speak too soon. Oh, that has been probably 3 hours of hell. At least 3 hours of hell. And I just don't want to let go now. Because that has been an absolute nightmare. Right. I'm gonna go for a cup of tea before I carry on with this, because that has been ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. I cannot begin to tell you how frustrating that has been. Basically, it's a case of fitting these lights at the top, but I have spent probably 3 hours at least trying to get that cable out, so that's been exhausting. I'm going to go for a cup of tea. Here I'm just finishing the light on the right hand side with some fresh crimps, so it's nice and watertight. See if my wiring is not entirely dreadful. We have light. If you've enjoyed the journey so far with ARNIE T430, Old Not Obsolete, please like, subscribe and hit that notifications bell for the next episode coming soon.